Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. So, this video is a little bit different. I thought it would be fun to kind of talk about my makeup journey, if you want to call it that, or like my makeup memories. I think it's kind of fun to kind of see how people like what their relationship with makeup is, if that makes sense, or like when they started wearing makeup, what are their memories of makeup? Do they like recently started wearing it, or has it been a progression? I thought that this would just kind of be something fun. I could kind of talk about like my memories with makeup, and if you guys want to share in the comments your memories with makeup, or if you want to make a similar sort of video. I just think it's really interesting to kind of hear, the why and, your kind of evolution with makeup. I don't know. So I kind of thought about it, and I don't have this super structured, but I'm just going to talk about some of my kind of makeup-esque memories. So the first thing I was thinking about in terms of makeup would be my mom. I think for a lot of people, your mom, if you have a mom anyway, your like parents or your mom's like thought on makeup like would influence you. So for me, I always remember, and my mom still like always wears makeup if she's going out somewhere. Her big thing has always been like lipstick. She always needs to like reapply her lipstick. And she doesn't, I mean, she wears makeup when she goes out. But she's not like super, like, I guess it's experimental with her. I guess she has more of a mom makeup look, if that makes sense, because you have kids and you're busy and you're working, so you can't really like spend super long time on your makeup. But she definitely has her like look down. She knows the products that work for her, and that's kind of been my whole life of she's always worn makeup, and I specifically associate her always like carrying and reapplying lipstick. The other beauty product that I would associate with my mother would also be hairspray. So those are the two things in my head that, like, in terms of beauty, remind me of her. So I guess I grew up thinking like it's normal to wear makeup. I didn't have a mom that's like a super like, oh, I don't wear makeup, I go all natural. Like, she wasn't like that. She always wore makeup. I don't remember when I was growing up, like I want to say when I was like 12, 13, like when I would have started like wanting to wear makeup. I don't remember having like, oh, you can't wear makeup until you're 16, or having any sort of restriction on it. I don't think I wanted to ever wear anything that was like too much makeup or too much makeup too soon, so I don't think it was ever an issue, but I don't remember having any like rules or anything like that. But I think my first introduction into makeup, which is, it's not really makeup, it's baby steps into makeup, but it's definitely Bonne Bell products. And I definitely started off with like the lip smackers, just the like flavored clear like lip balms. I'm sure everyone knows what lip smackers are, but definitely that was my first like foray into sort of lip products and like reapplying lip products. And I remember like Dr. Pepper one. Was there a root beer one? I feel like I liked all the soda flavors. I think there was a root beer one. Is there a grape one? There might have been a grape one that I had with like grape flavored stuff. And then there was one that they always come in the normal like chapstick sort of sizes. But there was one that I had that was like a larger size of a lip smacker, and it was like a berry flavored one. And I remember my mom telling me that when she was little, I guess it would have been like 60s, 70s, that they had like larger sizes of lip smackers, and she remembered really liking that when she was a kid, and then I had one when I was younger. So I don't know if anyone remembers like the larger sizes that they had, but that was definitely like my first, it's not even really makeup, but first kind of beauty-ish item in terms of like face type of products. And then Still staying with Bonnie Bell, they had some more like tinted lip things as I got a little older. They had like the lip lits, which were like tinted lip balms in all different sort of colors. They had like the click-up pens, like the Stila pens, but they were by Bonnie Bell. And I remember they had like a line of like coffee flavored, and they were a little bit like brown in color as well, but like coffee flavored, like click-up pens. They had some like lipsticks. So I remember really liking all the sort of Bonnie Bell, kind of from like the lip smackers, which is for a little younger, to the more mature, like preteen sort of Bonnie Bell, like tinted lip products, which I really, really liked. And I think that was my first like makeup experience. I remember there was a store at the mall called Afterthoughts, and I don't know how widespread Afterthoughts was. When I grew up, it was in Michigan, so I don't know if it was something that was all over the country, but it pretty much is a store like Claire's, like the icing. Do they even have the icing anymore? I don't even know, but I know there's still Claire's. So it's a store like that, like an inexpensive sort of accessory sort of store. I think our mall did have a Claire's, but it also had Afterthoughts, and for some reason I really liked Afterthoughts. I think the layout of the store I really liked, because I feel like even now, like Claire's stores, I don't know what it is, but there's so much stuff in that store, and it's so small, you always feel like, oh, you can't even like move in the store. So I think the Afterthoughts store at our mall was a little, like, they didn't have as much stuff maybe, or maybe the layout was different that you could kind of move around, or the store was a little bigger, but I really, really liked that store. And they sold, of course, like earrings and stuff, which I didn't even get my ears pierced until I was older, maybe like 15, 16, but I liked that store because they had like the Bonnie Bell, like mainly for the Bonnie Bell lip products, because they had like everything. So that was one of my favorite stores when I was little. And I even remember one Christmas, my aunt and uncle and my cousins came to visit for Christmas. And we were in Michigan, so of course it snows during the winter. And there was a horrible like snowstorm. And we were all like trapped in our house. Like we couldn't leave and go and do anything. They had given me for Christmas, though, an Afterthoughts gift card. And that was, like, the first thing on my mind was, like, knowing when we could leave the house, when it was safe to leave the house. Like, the first thing I wanted to do was go to Afterthoughts to, like, use my gift card. Like, I really remember that and being, like, so sad that, like, we couldn't leave the house. Like, are you sure we can't leave? I know it's, like, snowing outside and we're trapped inside, but can we figure out a way to, like, go to the mall? I think the mall, like, everything was, like, closed because, like, no one could leave, but I do remember, like, really wanting to spend that gift card. So that would have been, like, junior high. I want to say maybe, like, 13 years old when I was kind of wearing just getting started to get into makeup and, like, lip products and stuff like that. Also in junior high, this would have been like 8th grade, I want to say. I think it was junior high. I was on the cheerleading team, and to raise money, somehow, I think the coach or maybe one of the parents or something knew someone that sold Mary Kay makeup, and we worked it out that we could sell like Mary Kay makeup as a fundraiser. And there was some sort of incentive thing with it that if like you sold so much makeup, you would get like so much like credit to buy like Mary Kay makeup. And that like really incentivized me. I don't know if I even sold like that much to other people. I know my mom bought some and probably sold some to some other people. But I remember I personally like bought myself makeup so that I could get more through the like incentive. And I don't even remember what it was, but I just remember like buying more of the makeup to get like free makeup, if that makes sense. But yeah, I remember I got some like eyeshadows from that, maybe a blush, but it was just it was really random, like silly Mary Kay makeup. But I remember that. The first kind of high-end or like makeup counter that I remember was going into the Clinique counter with my mom. My mom would buy, and she still does buy Clinique makeup, but she would always go during like the bonus times at Macy's, which is like twice a year, to get like the whatever the free like makeup bag of stuff is. And I would go with her, and I remember like the first like foundation-y type of product that I used was from Clinique. It was called Almost Makeup. I don't know if anyone, I don't even know if they still make it, but it's just basically like a tinted moisturizer. But that was definitely my first sort of like foundation, like face type product. I'd also remember getting like different lip glosses from Clinique. I remember my favorite, there was two. Like one was called Sunset and one was called like Sunrise. Or I don't, some sort of like sunshine maybe, like some sort of sun related names. And I really love those lip glosses. And I remember like going to the counter and looking at all the lip glosses and then knowing like I can buy one, this time I can buy one, like picking out which one I want to buy. I think from Clinique I bought my first blush. Not a whole lot, just because as a kid, like, you only buy, like, you can only have money to buy stuff, like, a little bit at a time, but definitely remember buying stuff from Clinique, and I think from Clinique I got my first, like, palette. There was one that had, it was, like, a back-to-school palette, and the outside of it looked like a composition notebook, like one of the black and white, like, Mead sort of notebooks, and inside it had, like, 4 eyeshadows, and I want to say a blush and a bronzer, I think, and a mirror on the inside. But I remember I really, really loved that thing, and I loved like the packaging of it, and I thought it was so cool to have like a palette, and I really loved using that. I also remember I had a Too Faced palette that had maybe like 4 eyeshadows and then like 4 like lip products within the palette and maybe like a blush. That might have been all that had, but I don't know if anyone remembers. This would have been like early 2000s, but they were Too Faced palettes and they had like multi-products inside the palette. They were very like this big, not very big, just like a paper, not paper, but you know, like a papery, cardboardy material. And on the front of it, they had like vintage looking like girls. I don't know if anyone remembers these. I think they had, I don't know what my specific one that I had was called, but I think they had ones like with different colors, like a few different ones of those. So I did remember having that palette. I don't know, I just really love the idea of palettes, and I guess it was more of a thing to have palettes that had like different products versus just like an eyeshadow palette. So I definitely remember having those. I also kind of randomly remember, I think I bought it from that Afterthought store that I had mentioned, but like a silver mascara, which I think was like my first like mascara, I want to say, but I remember like wearing that, and I remember like putting that on like at a sleepover and feeling like I am like so cool. I'm wearing my like silver mascara. But I want to say like of my group of friends, I was definitely like more into makeup than they were. They kind of were like, oh, why are you wearing mascara? Or like, oh, your mom lets you wear mascara. I remember it was like a thing that I could like wear mascara, and they like didn't have mascara, weren't really into makeup. So I guess I was more like liked makeup, or my mom like kind of introduced me to makeup, or like would go with me, like take me to the Clinique counter and have me like pick things out, versus like other girls or people my age like weren't really buying makeup. I don't know, but that's sort of what I like perceived from that time. And then I also remember a lot of like drugstore makeup. Specifically, I really loved Jane makeup and the little like pots of eyeshadow. That's the one thing I really remember from Jane eyeshadows, having a lot of like little pots of eyeshadow. I know that they've like recently like relaunched the Jane brand. I haven't checked it out, but I just really associate it with like when I was younger. But I guess that would be an interesting thing to try out. But I really remember those eyeshadows, the little like pot eyeshadows from them. And then, so in terms of like what I actually wore, like I can't really remember. Like I can't picture myself when I was like getting ready for school, like junior high, high school, like was I putting makeup on every day? I'm sure, especially like more towards high school, I'm sure I was wearing makeup, but I'm sure it was much less than I wear now. I mean, I'm positive of that. Or like I'm thinking, like if I'm wearing eyeshadow, I'm just like swiping eyeshadow all over my lid. There's no eyeshadow primer, cream eyeshadow base. It's just no eyeliner. I didn't really wear eyeliner until more recently, but just take eyeshadow with whatever like sponge tip applicator, apply it over my eye. Probably wore mascara. I guess maybe I wore like the tinted moisturizer. I don't know if I would have worn that every day. Probably not. It probably was literally like a sweep of eyeshadow, some mascara, and like a lip gloss. That was probably me wearing makeup for a lot of my like younger teenage years. It was never like, I don't think it would have ever been like that much. And I really can't pinpoint when I started like wearing like a full face of makeup. I can't even remember like in college. I'm sure I started like slowly like wearing more and more makeup. But I really think like my love for makeup and me wanting to like always wear makeup and play around with makeup definitely was influenced by the whole like YouTube beauty community. And I think I joined YouTube in 2009. And pretty quickly after that, I started like discovering different beauty gurus and watching different beauty gurus. I remember some of the first beauty gurus that I was subscribed to were Ellen Blair. And I just loved watching their tutorials, and it was before, I mean, they were like popular back then, but it was before they like beauty gurus kind of blew up, and like now beauty gurus have like book deals and product lines and like are on TV shows. Like they've become like so popular, some of them. So it's kind of interesting to think back of watching these people like when they were kind of just starting out, when they were still filming like in their bedrooms and they were, doing everything themselves, to now the levels that they've reached. It's kind of an interesting phenomenon that if you were watching beauty videos from back a few years ago to now, it's kind of interesting to have been watching that. But I'm with a lot of people on here that watching all these videos like made us want all this stuff that otherwise we wouldn't have wanted. Like I have my Naked palette. This started something in the beauty community, individually for people that they wanted like eyeshadow palettes. They want all these neutral eyeshadow palettes. I think before the Naked palette, I had different palettes that I talked about, but like it wasn't a crazy obsession. I had like 2 palettes. It wasn't something like out of control. And a lot of times I would look at palettes and they would, especially like Urban Decay palettes that were a lot of like bright colors, and I'd be like, they're pretty, but how would I ever even use these colors? So definitely Urban Decay and the Naked palette and watching beauty gurus has definitely like increased my interest in makeup. It makes me like aware of different brands I wouldn't have heard of otherwise. So yeah, I think definitely my makeup journey definitely has to include all of the YouTube like viewing for the past 5 or 6 years. Yeah, so that definitely was an influence. And then Sephora. I don't really know. I can't pinpoint like the first time I went into Sephora was But that definitely would have been like high school. And I'm pretty sure this eyeshadow is the first like high-end single eyeshadow that I purchased from Urban Decay. And this is in Midnight Cowboy Rides Again. I just love the packaging. I remember being so intrigued by the packaging of these. And this is like, I can't with this. I don't wear it. I keep it for nostalgia's sake. But it's super chunky glitter. And this is the type that is super chunky. This is like the old formulation of their shadows. And you have a ton of glitter fall out like all over your face. So definitely wouldn't wear this. It is pretty and glittery. You can't really even see this. But this was like the first eyeshadow that I purchased. And yeah, I guess it was a slow transition to get into like the Sephora like love, I guess. And I blame YouTube for all of that. But yeah, that's kind of all that I had. I definitely would love if you guys would leave comments below if you remember any of the products that I mentioned, or like specific things you guys remember from when you were younger, like a teenage sort of age, like using makeup and like the first makeup that you used. I think it's really interesting. So definitely leave comments below of what you remember. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.